What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Everybody's been talking about the fact that Chris Samuels and Monique Samuels have been divorced or filed for divorce. And for those of you who remember Chris Samuels from like 2000s, he's one of the best offensive, I believe, tackles in the NFL. Huge guy at the time. He doesn't look anything like an NFL offensive lineman now. He looks like almost like maybe a linebacker. He's been working out, lost a lot of weight, working on himself. But he's married to the beautiful Monique Samuels, and he married her after he had an injury that forced him out to retire from the NFL. I believe it was like 2007, 2008 against the Carolina Panthers. And again, he was going to be, I felt the way his career was going, the first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know about now. I don't know if he played enough games in the NFL. But rather, she filed for divorce. They tried to work it out. And as you know, marriage is tough. That's something that, a lot of people need to understand. Business is tough. Marriage is tough. And a lot of times in those things, you need to have a lot of things going in your way. It's just what it is. Marriage is tough. My grandparents were in that marriage for almost 60 years. Toward the end of my grandfather's life, I believe she hated him. I don't want to. I don't want to really deal into that, but that's how hard I know marriage can be. Okay, now, but Monique Samuels said that she wanted the divorce for her kids, right? And I keep hearing this all the time. Let me play this particular soundbite, and I'm going to come back.
Chris and I are going through a divorce. I was not planning on sharing this information until it was finalized. So I actually filed back in April 14th. We had a mediator throughout this whole process. And when we felt like we got to a point where it was like, okay, we pretty much are on the same page with moving forward with things. I did go to the courthouse and file. So a lot of information that was put out there, it was put out there, number one, while I was on vacation. I was on a meditation retreat in Costa Rica. So I was in Costa Rica minding my own black business, and I was on a meditation retreat. So, whether you're the person who seeks a divorce or the person that was asked for the divorce by the other person, either way, the process is very stressful. It's like going through a death, in so many ways. Chris and I have been together for 17 years. We've been married for 11 years. Yeah, somebody said at the reunion, so y'all talking about Love and Marriage DC. The reunion, that many people believe the reason you did the show was to set up a divorce to Chris. You both laughed, yet here you are. I hope you both find peace. Yeah, so just because we were going through it last year, which we were, last year was very rough. When we were going through our motions and we were trying to figure things out, the goal was not to get divorced. That wasn't where we were last year. Even when people said last year that we were going our separate ways and all of that, Chris and I were trying every which way to figure out how do we get that connection back? How do we bring it back together? And so even at that time, it wasn't true. We weren't seeking a divorce. We were separated in a sense of okay, you focus on you, I focus on me, and let's see what happens. So we have been going through this process, and it's been years, marriage, as many people know, it has its ups and downs, but you get to a point where you feel like you've reached that moment of what are we growing? Are we stagnant? Are we moving? What's going on? And then you also have to consider the fact that we have 3 children, who are watching us. Our actions and how we interact with each other, how we run our household, that is literally an example for our children of how they're going to live their life, and I don't want our children to ever be in a relationship where they feel like they're not being heard, whether that's on my side or Chris's side, talking at each other, the marriage becomes like a battlefield. So you get to a point where you also have to consider the fact that we have 3 little people that are literally looking at us and they're taking notes and they're like, okay, this is what's normal, and it's not normal. So so that's where we are. You guys don't have to be sorry. It's just a part of life. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens. Some people stay married forever. Some people don't. My parents were married for 23 years and got divorced. I know couples that have been married for 60 years and they're miserable and they literally let their whole life just fade away, you know? So, it's really what you make it. And if you get to a point where you're like, you know what, we have grown so far apart that it may be best that we focus on ourselves individually and then focus on the three important people in our lives, which is our children. And that's what we decided to do.
All right, now let me just say this. Again, I've never been married myself, so I don't want to just, jump to any conclusions, if you will. But I do want to deal with this because I'm always hearing celebrities saying this. Hey, listen, I have kids. I don't want my kids to stay in a relationship that's not amicable for them. I don't want to do that. I have these kids that are watching me, and I don't want them to stay in this relationship, X, Y, and Z, yada, 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 yada. Fine. Again, I'm always hearing that particular talking point. But so what I want to say is, if everybody's seeing it and you don't want them to stay in a relationship, now again, I'm not trying to be like Purdy things. The relationship is abusive. The relationship is doing something like that. I'm not talking about that. That would be a lot different. But in the case that the relationship is not, and this is what you see a lot of times now, anytime something happens in relationships, what do you find people doing? Quitting. I mean, this is the truth, right? Anytime it gets tough, anytime it gets rough, you're finding people quitting the relationship. This is something that is very, very interesting to me. All the time you find this. And so my question to such people is, how do you get the strength to continue when things are not going right? Like everybody's divorcing or whatever the case is. Number one, I like the fact that they're amicable, but I've noticed that Chris Samuels lost a lot of weight. He's working out. He seems to be very happy, and I get people change in relationships. But the thing is, I believe, and this is what I'm going to say, a lot of these ladies believe that once that they get divorced, they're going to find somebody who's better suited for them. And what I'm going to say is, in the case of Chris Samuels, he has a much better opportunity to do that. When it comes to her, who will probably have the custody of 3 kids, the chances typically are going to be much slimmer. And I think that what we're going to see is that a lot of the ladies, okay, listen to what I'm saying is, a lot of the ladies are probably not going to understand how good the husband is that they got or that they've had. I don't think they really realize it. I think really seriously they believe that, you know what, I deserve this and deserve that, and then people change. And then once you change, you feel like, after a while I want to get out there and dating anymore. And then here's what happens. Changes happen again after your divorce. Then you realize, like, wow, I can't get anybody. Just like Tia Mowry right now. I did this for my kids, X, Y, and Z. Then you can't even date at all because nobody wants to touch you. Nobody wants to put up with you. And what you'll find out almost certainly is that they have not worked on themselves. They have not worked on themselves. They're still going to be very problematic, a lot of people. And if it's about your kids, and again, I know things happen in relationships, You know, whatever. I'm not trying to say it doesn't. My parents got divorced, so I understand. But typically, what you're going to find out is that after they go through a few relationships in which the partner is not meaningful, because again, you've been married 18 years, you have kids, the guy you're going to meet now is probably not going to be as serious. 2-3 years of dating dusty guys, the ex-husband don't seem so bad anymore. I'm not saying that you're settling for less. But what happens in that is typically the case I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with that usually. And using the excuse that, hey, I got kids, I want to show them that they shouldn't be in relationships. That's why nobody can stay married. It's really an excuse for you to make that you just want to get divorced. And if that's fine, just say that. Stop trying to say your kids are the most important thing. You just wanted to be single again. You're tired of the guy. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back at it again with another episode of Let's Celebrity Junk. For all you do, subscribe to the bell. I'm out.